everybody. This is Faris from the ASKFaris show, and I am so excited about tonight's guest. Tonight's guest is not just an entrepreneur. She's an author. She's a motivational individual, motivational consultant. She's a leadership trainer. She has so much going on for herself, but I'm so excited about bringing her on to go through and introduce her new book. So tonight's guest is Dr. Erika Gibson. Doc, how are you doing this evening?
Wonderful. Thank you, Faris, for having me on this show.
Oh my goodness, it's a pleasure. It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure. Doc, I am just so elated about your new book. I'm so elated. And it's entitled Preparing Girls for War. Got a chance to go through and read the book. A lot of meaty stuff that we're going to go over today. But before we get started into the book, just tell us a little bit about yourself, your entrepreneurial journey, because you are a medical doctor. You have a doctor in chiropractic. So you have a lot of things going on for yourself. But just kind of tell my audience just a little bit about yourself.
Okay, just, I'm never good at just talking about myself. I always want to talk about other people. But just to share, I am a healthcare provider by trade. I've spent most of my career as a healthcare executive where I've been able to go in and to optimize patient care from an administrative perspective. I'm a change agent. I'm a new author, as you said, of Preparing Girls for War. I am a motivational speaker. I'm a leadership trainer. Most all about me, I'm a lover of people. I absolutely love people. And on a personal level, I am a wife of 18 years to Dr. Clayton Gibson III, and we have 2 children, Haley and Hayden.
Yes. And guys, I want you all to understand, like, Dr. Gibson, very accomplished. But one thing I remember the first time I met her, and everyone knows I'm a business type person, and I heard her heart, and I heard about this project, and she has so much that she wants to pour into young ladies. And that's where we're going to really begin our conversation, Doc, as well. So I know when you were writing Preparing Girls for War, what was your intent on this book? What was your intent on this book?
The intent for me was to give girls the tools they need. I'll take you back to my journey, how I started. And I always share this with people, but back in 2001, started trying to figure out what was my purpose. Why was I here? It was much more than just having 5 degrees. It was just something that I needed to do and to give back to the community. But I would share, I would walk with my neighbor every day, and we would often exchange stories. And I think at one point we would try and say, well, her story is better than mine. But it was one day that her story actually impacted my life. And she was a counselor, and she would tell me about this little girl who didn't have anything. And I didn't know what the process was, because I didn't know if she was supposed to tell me about this little girl, being that it was in the school system. So I came home and I said to my husband, I said, we have to help someone. There's something we have to do. And he says, okay, here we go again. Here goes Erika. And with open arms, he did. He says, we can help her. So I went back to my neighbor and I said, listen, I said, the story you told me on yesterday impacted my life. I said, I want to do something. And she says, I said, can you just get in touch with the little girl's mother? She says, well, the problem is she doesn't live with her mother. She lives with her grandmother and 6 other children. I said, but there's something I want to do. She had never been to the hairstylist. She'd never had new clothes. She just never had anything. And so my neighbor made it happen. She reached out to the grandmother, and that weekend, I said, she went with me. She says, well, let's go get her. And I pulled up at the project, and the little girl walked through a hole in the fence. And I thought, well, maybe I should go talk to the grandmother. And so my neighbor said, no, I've already talked to the grandmother. Just let her in the car with you. And I brought my neighbor back home, but I took the little girl with me, and I said, hey, have you ever had your hair styled? And she says, no, ma'am. I said, have you ever been shopping? She says, no, ma'am. I said, well, guess what? I've scheduled an appointment for you. We're going to go get your hairstyle. I said, we're going to go shopping. And just to see the glow on her face, but it was so much more. I never forget walking into the store, and the way that the mirrors were positioned. I was outside the dressing room, but I could see her. And she had already had her hairstyle, and she looked in the mirror, and she looked around, she said, oh my gosh, I look so beautiful. And it just warmed my heart, because that was something that I needed to be able to do for her. And I thought, okay, my job is done. But guess what? God said, your job is not done, it's just begun. So at that point, I realized that I was finding my purpose in life. It was so much more than just doing those things for that young lady. it was about really beginning to hone in on my skills, to follow that passion, and to be everybody, be there for everybody.
Wow.
So it all started there. And that was my journey back in 2001. I share that I ran into situations on every job where I was coaching and mentoring and providing that guidance for young people, for women, even for executives. And I knew at that point, this is what I need to be doing. So that's how I sort of ventured out and started to create this environment of coaching and mentoring and providing leadership to ladies.
Wow. And one thing I want to I like that because I love the title of Preparing Girls for War. And this young lady, she was in a battle. She was in a battle. And it took you to go through. It's funny how God kind of just puts us on a path. And sometimes we don't know what we don't have the destination. We don't understand the destination. We may be on a journey. We may not see what the final destination is, but along the path, he brings people across your path for a reason. And so you had to go through what you went through. The young lady, unfortunately, had to go through what she went through just so something like this can be given birth, so it can continue to touch even more people that are going through different situations as well. But one thing about that is, along this journey, again, being a blessing to go through and actually touch individuals, to go through and actually touch this young lady's life, I know that the journey has not been has not been easy. And I want my entrepreneurs to understand, because a lot of my entrepreneurs, they're on this journey. They understand that they're on this journey for a reason. Like, you had to be very sensitive. Like, I understand you all went on a walk down the street, but to be sensitive, like, what was that one thing that kind of just that the young lady said that kind of said, you know what, I have to take action at this moment? Like, what was that? Was it just a combination of everything, or was it one thing that the person said?
It was a combination of everything, but I think it even started before I even met her. It was something that she said to the counselor. And for her to see the counselor, I knew that there was an underlying issue somewhere. And of course, she couldn't share with me, and I respected that. But there was something when she told me that story, I needed to be able to be there for her. And maybe I couldn't answer or help her with that initial problem that she went to the counselor with, but there were so many other things that I could pour into her to help her get to where she needed to be.
Wow. I'm excited about that, but let's jump right into the book. I got a chance to read this book, and the reason why I had to go through, and I would encourage anyone, if you haven't got it, I'm going to include a link in the show notes as well. You have to read this book if you have a daughter, niece, aunt, cousin, any type of, even if you're a guy, a male, whoever. I think this is a well-written book, and it goes through and kind of open up your eyes to different things. And that's one thing that I really kind of got into. So I'm going to go through and look at a few of the notes that I have written down, if you don't mind, and ask you on a few of the things. Let me go through. Got it right here. So some of the chapter titles. There's nothing good in man. Spiritual war is real. Can I win the physical war, or the mental game? Will the mental game overrule and setting the standards for yourself? I really feel like if we're to go through and change a generation, yes, we definitely want to go through and change our guys and our boys, but I really feel like it starts with our ladies. And I think that the ladies are so empowered, because guys, unfortunately, we just kind of we're like deer in the headlight. We just follow suit. And I feel like the ladies, if the standards up there, guys will go through and either live up to the standard, or they will just fall by the wayside, because ladies are really taking to that next level. So one thing I want to go through and ask is how important, like when it comes to spiritual warfare, like I know the preparing girls for war is about physical, mental, and spiritual. So how important is the spiritual part to the preparation of girls during this journey as well?
You know what? Let me just step back just a moment, because that was a question that was asked to me several times, because everyone doesn't practice Christianity. Mm-hmm. And so when I created the book, I created it as a tool for anybody, for any woman, to say that you don't have to be spiritual to set standards for yourself. Be who you are. For me to embark upon this initiative around Christianity, I had to put my truth in it. Mm-hmm. What was true for me? What did I live for? And despite what you may live for. I had to give you the tools that help me. I had to fight the war. And guess what? I fight it every day to win, despite what the situation is. I had to fight to win. So all of these things, especially like there's nothing good in man. We're not talking about the physical man. We're talking about women and men just falling into what they think is pleasure. Mm-hmm. Women being sheep and men being wolves. Wolves whispering in the women's ear. And I tell people all the time, women, we have the lock and we have the key. And without that, the men can't open it. If you have the lock and the key, guess what? You got to give them one or the other.
Exactly.
You know, to me, it's really about us taking control of it. No one can treat us, belittle us, or do anything if we have those standards set where we need them to be.
Oh, man. I like what you said. And one other part that I really like, you actually wrote, don't be a car charger for boys. And one thing I feel like raising a daughter, my daughter's only 2 years old, but I'm conditioning her mind to understand like the naiveness that a lot of times people just kind of fall off the wayside just because they're naive. I'm trying to go through and expose her to something that she could go through and see within a man. So whenever she's at that dating age or marriage age, she can see, okay, my father emulated that, so that's what I should look for. So when you wrote, don't be a car charger for boys, that, I mean, it was actually, I liked it. So talk about that a little bit.
So what I meant by that is, here we go back to not letting boys whisper in your ear. Don't just let them plug in and plug out when they want to. Don't let them use you as a revolving door. You're either in or you're all the way in. There's no middle ground. You're in or you're all the way in. So don't just let them use you. Don't be that string for them. Don't let them come lay with you when they feel it's right. Have a commitment. That commitment goes all the way to being married, not just boyfriend and girlfriend. Because, you know, people come in and out of your life every day, and whatever you decide, you want to make sure that person is right for you. So don't be used. Exactly. Use your faith.
Oh, man. And that's the standard. I think, again, like those standards are set, people respect standards. And the ones that don't respect standards, they get pushed to the side. They get pushed to the side. You actually talk in your book, it's not just like the pretty book. You paint a very vivid picture. And I would definitely recommend, especially for younger children, if you have younger children, the parents should read it first, and then when it's appropriate, definitely go through and actually give it to that individual after the parent read it. But you talk about everything from homosexuality to STDs to what to do if for some reason a person gets pregnant, everything. So let's kind of talk about that right there. Why did you choose to paint a vivid picture of the situations that are going on in today's society?
You know what? Today, no one wants to talk about what's really going on. Mm-hmm. You have all these taboo myths. Nobody wants to be upfront about it. Our children see social media and they think that's the way of life. But guess what? In the real world, that's not how it operates. We need to teach our kids the truth. And so for me to give vivid pictures and to explain, they understand it. There's no ambiguity on what you think. Here it is. You don't have to second guess, well, was she talking about this? No, this is exactly what I was talking about. Okay. And when I talk about lesbianism, that was truly what, you know, was the fire for me, because I share in the book, without telling a whole lot, but I share where this young lady, 10 years old, who came to me during a youth summit, and she talked about how her mother was lesbian and how she asked her, am I lesbian too? And her mother says, you have to try it for yourself. And that broke my heart. And I said, well, you know what? I can't tell her directly that it's wrong, but I can use the tool of the Holy Bible and let her read it and then have her to tell me, what do you think? And at that point, she says to me, oh, is that what that means? That boys shouldn't be with boys and girls shouldn't be with girls? I didn't have to say anything. All I had to do was give her the tools to read so that she understood right from wrong.
And that's and your book, it's a really good conversation starter, because it really hits on topics that a lot of people, especially parents, they avoid, or they don't know how to go through and actually initiate that conversation because their parents or their loved ones may not have initiated, and they had to go down a path of just kind of, let me try this out, let me try this, and we're living in a day and time now where trying it out can go through and lead to a path of detriment. And we don't have time to go through and just try it out. We have to go through and prepare our young people for the world. And doing that is actually having the conversations as well.
Yes. Yes.
And that's the fight that I feel that has to be had. And not only did you paint a vivid picture on that, you really delve deep on bullying. And look, we have a little Muhammad Ali right here. So I just enjoyed it. And this book, again, you got to go through, and it's going to bring some tears to your eyes. It's going to go through and educate you. It's going to go through with a smile on your face as well. But my thing is, let's talk about bullying as well, because bullying is real. And a lot of children are going through it. And a lot of parents, they don't understand what to do, what's the answer. Some parents are saying, hey, just go through and fight it. And you give a really good story about the ones that just say, just go through and fight it. But let's talk about that for a second as well.
So that touched me deeply because I was bullied for years in grade school. And I think, you know what, it actually impacted me the older I got, when I could sit back and reflect that didn't feel good. And it carried on with me. And, you know, I get teary-eyed when I think about it today because it hurts so much.
Yes.
And I think about, and you read in the book, how I handle it. It wasn't the best way, but it was a way for me to move forward. You know, I never wanted to fight.
Yes.
That was my way of protecting myself after I had been bullied for years. And I was bullied by a family member. So I think that was most impactful. And I will share, and I shared in the book, I could have done it differently. I should have told my father earlier. I should have told an administrator. I should have told a teacher. I should have told someone. And that torment that I went through, I would have never had to go through it. I even shared the story where the young lady had been bullied and she took it in her own hands and she murdered someone. So now she has to pay the penalty for that. So to me, bullying is real. Kids are bullied, and guess what? Adults are bullied on their job. I've had to deal with that. So to me, I take it so personal because it hurts. And to be able to give kids the tool to know how to navigate through it is so important because it's so personal.
Exactly. And I like how you're transparent in this book. You talk about the personal experience you have. And then my thing is, again, we learn from past experiences. Like back in the day when we were younger, we probably could, it probably wasn't right still, but we probably could go through and battle it out and keep it going. But we're living in a different time now where they're taking it to that next level. And just like you wrote in the book about that experience, about the other young lady who took it to the extent, it's like we as parents, we can't go through and say, well, back in the day, we should just go fisticuffs, now go fisticuffs with that person. It could go through and alter your child's life for life.
Yes.
And that's one thing that I really feel like as parents, we do not know everything. And my thing is, if there are tools out there that we can learn from, that we can glean information from as well, it's so important for us to go through and do it, because this parental journey, it is a journey. It's not something that we master with one child or master overnight. It's things that we get tools such as these to go through and continue to walk this journey with upright morality and with better tools to go through and actually put in our tool belts to equip our kids for the war that they're actually preparing for as well.
Absolutely.
So another part that I really liked as well was setting the standards for yourself. I really believe in setting the standards for yourself. And I think you actually talked about, and you talked about like things like what to wear and why it matters. I really feel like, and of course, clothing are just garment. It's just garment. But my thing is, where you're going in life, I believe that you should dress for where you're going in life. And I feel that people respect standards as well. So kind of talk about that, because I think young ladies nowadays, and I always call a young lady, a female, a young lady, young ladies nowadays, they have to go through and understand why it's important that yes, it's just garments, but why the things that you wear are so important so people can respect your standards as well.
Well, for me, when I wrote that, of course, I've had experience, even from my clinical setting, just bringing young ladies in dressed inappropriately. And for me, when you get ready to look for a job, you got to be very cognizant on what you have. When you're going out there to a party, people see you and you attract those people the way you're dressed. So just say that if you're showing more than you should be showing, you're going to attract that type of person. But if I put on a suit, and not everyone will wear a suit, but just if I cover up, there are certain people just not going to look at me, and maybe that's a good thing. But I just think that's so important. And I think fashion is, I love to dress, but I know how to cover up. And I think that's important for our girls to know, cover it up. Leave something for the man to wonder about. But if he sees it's already out there, what does he have to wonder about? So to me, that's very important.
And my grandma used to say it all the time. And one thing I want to bring out as well is a beautiful quote. And you have to pronounce it's actually by Mandy Hale. Book. It says, a busy, vibrant, goal-oriented woman is so much more attractive than a woman who waits around for a man to validate her existence. Why did you put that in your book?
Because for me, we need to develop who we are. We should not wait on a man to validate who we are. For me, I think about how my father raised me, to be independent, to go out there and make it happen for yourself. And for me to sit around and wait on a man to do it for me, that just doesn't happen. It should not happen. We need to be strong women. We need to be leaders. And, to me, when I saw that quote, it was just so fitting for our young ladies, for our women. That's what we need. We don't need to be validated. We need to validate ourselves.
And that's one thing. And I know along this journey, my thing is you've achieved a lot educationally and professionally to go through and actually go through medical school and to become a medical doctor, and not only just stop there, to go back and to get your doctorate in chiropractic as well. It's a lot of hurdles that you had to go through and overcome, and it took a lot of focusness. So how important, and this is the kind of segue with the book as well, how important is it for our young ladies today to stay focused on those things that are important? How important is that?
You know what? That's our life. We need structure. We need a plan. We need to know how to set sustainable plans. We need to know how to execute. And the only way you can do it is hone in on those things that are relevant. Some things that are going on today, they're not relevant to us. And for me to go through that, you're right, I had to have structure. And a part of that was just my grooming, knowing where I want to go. Have a goal, set your goal. And the only way you can get to that goal is you plan. And for me, that's what was most important.
Can I, you said something, you said it was your grooming. What do you mean by that? Because I want to hear a little bit more about that.
Okay, I'll share. My parents. It started with my parents. To me, I've always been a firm believer is that your child can be whatever you put out there. When I was growing up, my parents always said, that's my doctor, that's my doctor, that's my doctor. That's all I knew. I'm their doctor. Wow. And to me, that's grooming your child to be exactly what you want them to be. Now, on the other token, if you always tell your child, you're a failure, you're nothing, guess what? That's what you get. You get a failure. You get a child who thinks they're nothing. So that, to me, that's what grooming, putting them where you see them in the future.
And that's so important, because I believe any seed sown will actually I believe we sow something, we'll reap something. And I believe that sometimes if we sow nothing, and that's a seed right there, if you sow nothing, you reap nothing as well. So whatever is going to happen is because of the seed that you're sown. And I feel like as parents, it's so important. And it does not take all the finances to go through and expose your children to different things. It takes willingness, it takes effort, it takes a willingness to go through and sacrifice a little, we're not watching TV this evening, but we're going to go through and pick up a book. Or we're going to go through and go to the doctor's office and guess what? Ask them, how did they become a doctor? Or how did that person actually become a manager on that particular job, or whatever those ambitions that you see within your children as well. And I think those are the type of seeds that we have to go through and actually nurture. And then it's so important as parents, we have to be cognizant of the abilities that we see, the innate abilities that we see within our children. Because some of our, like my daughter, she is, when it comes to problem solving, she's like, almost 2 years old, but she's a problem solver. So now that I see that within her, I have to do something to nurture that seed as well. And so how important is it for parents, because you said your parents were grooming you, and that's a lot of nurturing, but how important is it for parents to nurture the gifts that they see within their children?
Oh, it's very important, because not everyone was groomed to be a doctor. Yes. Not everyone was groomed to be a lawyer. And what I would say is whatever skills they have, you nurture that skill. And to me, it's about being the best at whatever you do. If you work for waste management and you're collecting trash, be the best trash collector there is. Be the best driver. To me, it doesn't matter. Whatever your skill set, take it to the limit. Invest in yourself to become the best that you can be. And for me, I think about all the time, even with me motivational speaking, I did it on my job because I was an executive. I was forced to do it. And then when I ventured out to become a coach, to become a motivational speaker, what I did is I want to be the best. So guess what I did? I invested in myself. I went and I got trained by the #1 renowned leader in the world. So to me, it's about you investing in your children, you investing in yourself to be the best that you could possibly be.
And those are the keys right there, because it's all about the next generation. It's all about preparing our girls and our young men for war. And in preparation, it takes the parents as well. And I don't want parents to think that because your child is a child, they're going to learn these things on their own. We have to continue to parent our children. We have to continue to nurture them. We have to continue to give them tools and educate and expose them to the things that we see that will benefit them in the future. We can't keep them naive to things. We can't just say, you know what, hey, sex is not out there, or abstain from it, or STDs are not real. We have to go through and educate them so that now they have peers around them that they can go through and give that positive peer pressure on the next person and say, you know what, we're not doing that. We're just going to the movies, just watching the movie. We're not going to go through and hang out and do all that crazy stuff right there. Those are the type of things where I feel like if a parent, and all my listeners, if you're listening, you have to get this book, because it's going to initiate those conversations that has to be had as well.
You know, I think about that book as the cheat sheet. Mm-hmm. Instead of you having to go through, what others have gone through, you look and learn and say, oh, don't have to go through that. I can check that off my list. So I look at it as the tool of cheat sheets, learning from somebody else's experience.
And I like that it's a simple, quick read, because sometimes a lot of authors, they go through and put a lot of fluff in. You have like this much and you only need this much. You cut all the fluff out. You say, I'm going to give it to you straight. I'm going to go through and make it easily understood. And it's an easy read, and it's educational, it's entertaining, but you get a lot out of it. And I just want to encourage my listeners, you have to go through and get the book. You have to go through and get the book. But Doc, I know that, yes, you have many different titles, but I know you're prepared. Are you still preparing for up and coming summits, and are you still doing youth? Like, are you doing seminars with the youth as well?
Yes, so we have youth warrior programs that we try and do quarterly with our girls. Of course, the parents have to sign a waiver because, as you said, there is no fluff behind it. We take our girls, we teach them standards, and we go through the chapter so that they can understand. And a lot of times, we don't understand as parents what our children are going through, because for some reason, they're not as open. And you hear parents say, well, my child is very open with me. Guess what? There's always something they're not going to tell you. And I even found, I have an 11-year-old daughter. I firmly believe there are certain things that she just don't tell me, but I believe she'll tell someone else. And so it's really to open the window with other children so that they can tell you, and so that the parent feels comfortable that Dr. Gibson's going to tell them the right thing. No, I'm not going to tell you to go out and sleep with 5 guys and it's okay. I'm not going to even say go sleep with 5 guys and use protection, because to me, from a spiritual perspective, that's not right. It's abomination to the body, regardless to how you look at it, whether it's with a man or whether it's with a woman. So for me, we do host the summits. We're going to continue to have book signings. The book has taken a life on its own, and that's why I know that God put this on me, and it's my responsibility to drive it.
Oh my gosh. And one thing that you were, when you were talking about it, sometimes as parents, we do have to put our children in a position to go through and give them the comfort to go through and actually talk to that next person, because they may not talk to us about that situation, but they'll go through and talk to a Dr. Gibson, or they'll talk to one of the other mentees or whoever. That's why it's so important to position. So when there's summits out there, you have to go through, and whatever it takes to get your children there, they have to come, because it's so important. It's for their future. And you want them around other peers that are seeking to go through and better themselves, instead of ones that just want to sit on the sideline. You want them around other family members, other parents that are saying, I really want to invest in my child to go through and actually make sure they have a brighter and better future as well. That's what you really want. That's what you really want. So, Doc, we're going to go through and wrap this interview up. One thing, this is the AskFaris show, and I know this show took a little spin a little bit, because I really wanted to bring on someone that can speak to the entrepreneurs on a family level, on a parental level, so that we can go through, not only just be great in our business, but we can also have great families, and also we can put the spotlight on the next generation, which is the most important thing as well. So, but this is the AskFaris show. And we come at a time, every AskFaris show, I allow my guests to go through and ask me one question that may be business related, maybe personal, whatever. I want you to ask me one question that you feel like, I gotta ask Faris this question. I wonder why he does this or why, whatever. But this is a time where you can go through and ask me one question.
Question. Let me think. Why me? Why me?
So the question was, why did I interview Dr. Gibson? I really felt like your message had to get out there. I understand that we have so many, again, entrepreneurs that I speak a lot about business, and I want everyone's business to flourish. But I realize that if your business flourish and your family life is not balanced, that's not success. That you can have all the money in the world, but if your family life and your spiritual life is not balanced on there, it's not success. And that's why I had to go through and seek you out. I had to go through and actually read your book. I had to go through and actually get the tools that you already have, because I know that those are the keys that were missing in my particular life, but also that could be missing in other individuals' lives as well. So that's why I was like, I'm very particular on who I interview and expose my audience to on this show, because I only want tools, tactics, and techniques that people can actually use in their lives. And again, a lot of stuff is business related, but I felt like this right here was needed at this moment as well.
Thank you, Faris. Well, can I add one final thing to your show?
Yes.
For your entrepreneurs, I think this is something that helped me move to where I am today. It's called the law of inner circle. Be intentional on the relationships that you build. Be intentional about the people in your life. If you're in a circle and you're the smartest one in your circle, it's time for you to find someone else. So to me, that's so important. Even with writing the book, there were people who didn't have a great intent for me for the book. So guess what? I had to find a new circle. I had to be intentional on building relationships with those who could add value to me and to my book.
Wow. Beautiful. And those are the nuggets that I really want my listeners to hear, because again, we're the average of the 5 people that we communicate. And I know at different seasons we have different circles as well. And I know for you probably have many different circles as a professional, as a friend level, and all those type of things. Doc, it's just been a pleasure interviewing you. I really wish nothing but the best and the success of this book. But one thing even better than that, I really want it to touch, if it only touches that one person's life, I just hope and pray that it really touches that person and has a domino effect on that person's line and that generation as well. But before we go, how can my listeners reach out to you? How can they go through and get a copy of your book as well, hard copy, electronic? What do you have for them?
So they can go to my website, www.erika.gibson.com. They can also go on Amazon.com and purchase in e-version, and they can also purchase the hard copy. And thank you to you, Faris, for inviting me. Thank you for my wonderful website. It's been a pleasure. So yes, they can go on. And if someone wants to reach out to me, all you have to do is send me a message via my website. Again, it's www.drDrErika.Gibson.com.
Perfect. And I want you all, she does speaking engagements. She does training for young girls and executives. I want you to go there and reach out to her, because again, I feel like we are the average of the 5 people that's in our circle. And I feel like if you can get exposed to the knowledge that she has, and you can go through and bring it to your circle, what better way to go through and do that? So Doc, we really appreciate you coming on the show, and we definitely continue to wish you nothing but the best and success for this. And also your husband, he's a trip. I really enjoyed meeting him.
He's not a stranger to anyone. Everyone's his friend.
He is not. I really enjoyed meeting him. He is a trip. And just tell him we asked about him. And again, we're definitely going to be crossing paths in the near future. But again, nothing but the best as well. I want my audience to reach out. You have to go through and actually purchase. Doc, how much are the books as well?
The e-version is $4.99. The hard copy is $9.97.
Okay, the e-version is $4.99, which is not even a hamburger, not even a Chick-fil-A egg nugget. And the hard copy is just one meal. So we have to go through and support this project. Again, buy multiple copies, buy it for your niece, buy it for your daughter, buy it for your friend, buy it for that father who's raising those children alone as well, because it's so important that we get the message out. So Doc, we really appreciate you coming on the show, and we look forward to having you back in the near future, okay?
Thank you.
Just loyal. I just been working a lot. I'm on my way to the top. I just be ducking the ops. I wanna cut the new drop.